Sri Gurubhyo Namah children, welcome to online session. Today we are going to discuss about valence bond theory. We are going to see who has put forth the valence bond theory, and we are going to see the features of valence bond theory, postulates of valence bond theory. Shall we see children? One by one I am going to write the postulates as well as I am going to explain. So I want everybody's attention here. So please be ready with your notebook. One by one I am going to explain the postulates of valence bond theory, and based on this we are going to see the applications of valence bond theory, where this valence bond theory is applied. And we are going to talk about the magnetic behavior and the geometry of the complex using the valence bond theory. Ready children? Shall we start? I am going to write the postulates now. Valence bond theory was put forth by Sidgwick. So, valence bond theory was put forth by Sidgwick. Now, we are going to see the postulates of valence bond theory. Postulates of valence bond theory. First point, the central metal atom or ion, should make available the number of vacant orbitals. The central metal ion should make available the number of vacant orbitals that should be equal to the coordination number. So here the first point is, under valence bond theory, the first point is the central metal atom or ion should make available the number of empty orbitals that should be equal to the coordination number. For example, a complex is coming like this. A complex is coming like this. Here, cobalt is the central metal ion. And what is the coordination number? Already we have defined coordination number. That is the number of ligand molecules. The number of ligand molecules that are attached to the central metal ion. So, in this complex, the central metal ion is cobalt. What is the ligand here? Ligand in this complex is ammonia. that is NH3. So there are totally 6 ammonia molecules bonded to the central metal ion, therefore coordination number is 6. So the central metal ion cobalt should make available six vacant orbitals to accept the electron pairs from ligand. To accept the electron pairs from ligand. So here, listen here, already I told about the postulate. The first postulate is the central metal ion should make available the number of vacant orbitals or empty orbitals that should be equal to the coordination number. I have written the complex like this. Hexamin cobalt 3 ion. So in this complex, cobalt is the central metal ion where ammonia is a ligand. So here when you talk about the coordination number, already defined, already we have seen, the number of ligand molecules that is attached to the central metal ion is called as coordination number. Here actually the ligand is ammonia. How many ammonia molecules are there? Totally 6. Therefore coordination number is 6. And when you talk about this central metal atom or ion, here it is cobalt. So cobalt should make available 6 vacant orbitals so that it can accept the electron pairs from the ligand. So this is the first point. Now we are going to see the second point. Children, we are going to continue with the valence bond theory. Now I am going to discuss the second feature of valence bond theory. What is the second feature? The central metal atom or ion, can use the inner n-1d ns and np orbitals or ns, np and nd outer orbital. For hybridization. So here, what is the second point? The central metal atom or ion, either it can use the inner n-1d, ns and np orbital or ns, np and nd outer orbital to undergo hybridization. So this is the second point. So the central metal ion can use either the inner n-1d, ns and np orbital for hybridization or ns, np and outer nd orbital for hybridization. What is hybridization? We are going to see what is hybridization. Intermixing atomic orbitals of similar or dissimilar energies. Intermixing atomic orbitals of similar or dissimilar energies to give equal number of to give equal number of orbitals of similar energy identical shape and symmetrical orientation in space. So what is the second point? The second point is very clear that the central metal atom or ion, either it can use the inner n-1d, ns and np orbital, or ns, np and nd outer orbital for hybridization. You should know what is hybridization. Already we have seen in 11th standard. So hybridization is nothing but intermixing of atomic orbitals. We can mix up the atomic orbitals either with similar energy or dissimilar energy. So intermixing of atomic orbitals of similar or dissimilar energy, what they will form atomic orbitals of similar energy, identical shape and symmetrical orientation in space. So what is hybridization? Intermixing of atomic orbitals. So it can be a similar energy or dissimilar energy orbitals. So when we are going to mix up these atomic orbitals, you will be getting equivalent number of orbitals, atomic orbitals with similar energy, identical shape and symmetrical orientation in space. So this is the second point under valence bond theory. Now we are going to see the third point. The vacant metal orbital and the filled ligand orbital undergoes maximum overlapping to form the metal ligand or bond, to form the metal ligand bond. So this is the third point. So what is the third point? The vacant metal orbital and the filled ligand orbital, they will undergo maximum overlapping. So they will be overlapping each other. One side you will be having vacant metal orbital, other side you are having filled ligand orbital. So these two overlap one over the other. So maximum overlapping will be taking place to form the metal ligand bond. So metal and ligand, metal is a electron acceptor, ligand is a electron donor. So these two, they will overlap each other to form a metal ligand bond. So this is the third feature of valence bond theory. The fourth feature, if the central metal ion uses the inner n-1d orbital, if the central metal ion uses the inner n-1d orbital, then the hybridization is n-1d n minus 1 d2 sp3. So n minus 1 d2 sp3. So if the central metal atom undergoes the inner n minus 1d orbital, so we can call it as n minus 1 d2 sp3 hybridization. If the central metal atom or ion, if the central metal ion uses outer nd orbital, the hybridization is n sp3d2. So the next point is very clear. So here what is the concept? Actually the ligand and the metal, the vacant metal orbital and the filled ligand orbital, they are overlapping each other. So when they are overlapping, what type of bond is formed? Metal ligand bond will be formed. That we have discussed in the previous point. Now we are going to see what type of atomic orbitals are used by the central metal ion. There are two possibilities. If the central metal ion uses the inner n minus 1d orbital, inner d orbital, n minus 1d orbital. So if the central metal atom or ion uses the inner n minus 1d orbital, then the hybridization will be n minus 1 d2 sp3. If the central metal atom or ion uses the outer nd orbital, in such a case the hybridization will be n sp3d2. So see the d configuration. In the previous case it is in the front, whereas the d orbital configuration in the other form, it is towards the other side, towards the back. So here there are two possibilities for hybridization of central metal atom or ion. If the central metal atom or ion uses the inner n minus 1d orbital, then the hybridization will be n minus 1 d2 sp3. If the central metal ion wants to use the outer nd orbital, then the hybridization will be n sp3 d2. So this is the next postulate. Now we are going to see the last feature of valence bond theory. So far all the points I have discussed. One more point is left behind. We are going to see the last point of valence bond theory. Last feature of valence bond theory. That is fifth point. Using the magnetic moment value that is mu value. Using the magnetic moment value, we can calculate the number of unpaired electrons. We can calculate the number of unpaired electrons in the complex. So the last point is, we can, using the magnetic moment value, that is mu value, I am going to write the formula now. Using the magnetic moment value, we can calculate the number of unpaired electrons in the coordination compounds. For example, mu is equal to root of n into n plus 2 Bohr magneton. So what is n? Actually n is equal to number of unpaired electrons. What is this Bohr magnet? Now we are going to see the unit for magnetic moment. So magnetic moment I have indicated by mu value. Mu. What is the formula we have seen? Mu is equal to root of n into n plus 2. What is that n? Number of unpaired electrons. This magnetic moment has got a unit. So unit for magnetic moment is Bohr magneton. Unit for magnetic moment is Bohr magneton.